stressed and a pleasant, stress-free weekend. I hope that we didn't spend our weekend at the filling stations, on queues, trying to, get fuel into our cars or into our jerry cans to take home for our generators at home. Well, in the midst of it all, I trust that we are all doing really, really good. There are good news. I mean, we have good news from different quarters. There's a directive from the president as regards, stoppage of the implementation of the cybersecurity levy policy. And there's also the good news as regards the students of Confluence University of Science and Technology in Kogi State, who were abducted sometime last week on Thursday. About 24 of them, about 14 of them have been rescued. So, good news. I guess we can work with that as regards, how we hope this week is going to go. You're listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. This is Trends in the Papers. We'll be looking through the major trending stories on the front pages of our dailies. My name is Omobola Sandra. Fuad Sahid will be joining in via the phone line to give his own analysis of the stories that we'll be treating this morning. But before we go into the stories trending for today, the 13th of May 2024, every Monday, it is our tradition to bring you up to speed as regards the top stories that trended over the weekend. I'll start with Saturday, The Guardian. What we have is the major headline on the front page of The Guardian for Saturday is military in somber mood as terrorists ambushed and killed over 50 soldiers and officers in the past 8 months. The story is on page 2 of Saturday Guardian, so you can get more details there. We also have here, even if arrest warrant was illegally obtained, Yahaya Bello should appear in court, rules the judge. That's another interesting story you can get on page 3. Finally, from the Guardian, Saturday Guardian, why consumption of sex enhancement, body enlargement, herbal mixtures should be avoided. That's very important for a lot of us Nigerians, especially Lagosians. All right, moving on to Saturday Punch. Coastal Highway controversy. Minister plans live transmission of Reps Pro panel hearing. Is that something we should look forward to? Is that really necessary? Well, you can get all of the details on page 4. Right after that says federal government has nothing to hide and ready to face panel. Pays compensation to 9 property owners. Explains why 2 aren't paid. You can get all of the details on page 4 of Saturday Punch. Also, over the weekend, one of the stories that caused some sort of stir was the appearance or visit of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in Nigeria over the weekend as they visited the DHQ Kaduna. As regards the Invictus Games, which has been put together to help veterans, military veterans, and those who are struggling with one mental, or psychological, pain, trauma, or the other, as regards as related to their service in military. So that was also another one. Also over the weekend, Awujale of Ijebuland, or Badetono, celebrated his birthday. It was actually a big one with a lot of pomp and pageantry that happened in Ijebu. Finally, off the front page of Saturday Punch, tension in assembly quarters as court stops 25 pro-Wike lawmakers. And speaking of Wike, there was a statement from Wike over the weekend as regards, the support or his support of Governor Siminalayi Fubara at the 2023 elections. It was quite interesting. I said it was a mistake. We'll dig deeper into that. Well, if you missed Political Roundtable yesterday, trust me, you missed a lot. But you didn't miss so much. All you have to do is visit our YouTube channel or our Facebook platform to watch a rerun. Finally, Saturday, Vanguard, Godwin Obaseki explodes. We cannot secure Nigeria from the center anymore. Let's redesign the country. Vows not to run for president or any elective office under present structure. We'll find out 2027, I guess. Well, the details on page 14 of Saturday Vanguard. And that's for Saturday. For Sunday, the major stories across the papers was, of course, this information that I have shared earlier on as regards suspension of implementation of cybersecurity levy from the president to the CBN. All right, and that's the major headline on the front page of Sunday Punch. And on the front page of Sunday Vanguard, monster floods, tensions in 31 states. We still have this flood crisis, which, in turn is translating to some sort of food crisis as well. And finally, off the front page of the Guardian newspaper, with hike in electricity tariff, cost of drugs, health sector woes deepen. That's a serious situation there. Well, the Awujale of Ijebuland wasn't the only one who celebrated over the weekend. We also have a Afenifere leader, Reuben Fashion celebrated as well at 98. And those were the major stories that trended over the weekend. All right, let's get into the stories for today. I mentioned earlier that Fuhad Saheed will be joining in via the phone line to share his own analysis of all the major stories that we're going to be treating this morning. You're listening to the Morning Express on mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Omobola Sandra. Good morning, Fuhad Saheed. How are you doing?
Yeah, good morning, Sandra. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much. Thank you for joining in.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And it was quite an interesting one yesterday. I mean, that is the hottest topic right now on the political scene, whatever it is that's going on in Rivers State. The statement from Wike now saying, supporting Fubara was a mistake and it's something that he's going to correct any moment now. And also, as regards any moment soon, rather. And also as regards the 25 lawmakers, the pro-Wike lawmakers, which is actually interesting. I got something yesterday from the table, but I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. As regards the fact that these people are supposedly pro-Wike and they are members of the APC, and Wike is in the PDP. Well, I mean, it's just all hazy, whatever it is that is going on in Rivers State. But do you think that at the end of it all, yes, we're waiting for court injunctions, we're waiting for courts, some court cases to be resolved, court decisions, thank you very much. But then at the end of it all, do you think that the people of Rivers State who voted Fubara into office have one role or the other to play? Because whether we like it or not, governance is paused in Rivers State one way or the other. There's nothing happening because it is just political this, political that, political this, political that. And do you think at the end of the day, we may have to look at the people of the state to come together and ensure that, whatever it is that is happening at the top doesn't have to, affect what the dividends of democracy in that state?
The problem here, Sandra, is that, look, we expect too much from the people, Sandra.
Okay.
We always expect too much from the people. The government fails in its responsibility to provide dividends of democracy. We blame the people. The government is not able to provide health care for the people. The government is not able to manage the oil sector with probity and accountability. Something must go. We blame the people. The government is not able to provide power to the people. It has to be the people that we must blame, and they must bear the consequence. The reality is in Sandra. People have done their own part. Really, Sandra. I think they've done their own part.
Okay.
Yeah, they came out on elections day. Whatever happened. Look, whatever happened on the elections day, at least they were at the poll. And at the end of the day, somebody emerged as the governor of the state and has been affirmed by the court. Now the people are expecting the political class in Rivers State to behave themselves and give them the dividends of the democracy. We are still not telling the people that, look, you have to step in it. So what would they do? That's why people from Rivers State are lost as to what exactly is going on. We've done our own part. We've gone to the poll.
What more do you want us to do?
What more do you want us to do, really? We voted. Look, when you vote for people and you get into power, you submitted your mandate to them. You submitted your rights to them. The resources of the state, you give it to them to manage for your benefit. And when they now begin to fight to the point where the essence of governance is lost, then you begin to wonder. So I'm not saying what you have. Your question is fantastic, Sandra. What I'm saying is that, look, what more do we expect from the people of Rivers State? What are they supposed to do when the politicians have refused to behave themselves? You have one man who is now apologizing to the whole of the state.
For choosing Fubara as a successor.
I made a mistake for choosing my successor. That statement in its own shows that, look, they don't really regard the voting powers of the people. I'm sorry, the mind of Yᴏᴜᴛᴜജ, it was just all about himself. He produced him, he supported him, and made him governor. Without any recourse, really, or respect to the interest and the will of the people. And so that's why in his mind, again, he feels that, look, irrespective of what the people of Rivers State are saying at this time, I can still remove this guy. How he wants to remove him, we are waiting to see. Whether there are ways to remove the governor illegally, we are waiting to see. If there are legal routes to remove the governor, we wait to see. That's why I keep saying that, look, the crisis in Rivers State is a game of time. Time will tell.
All right. Thank you very much, Said Fuad. Let's get on to the major stories for today. Time check right now is 7:50 a.m. That's 10 minutes to 8. And we're still kicking things off with the Punch newspaper. There's a lot to unpack from Rivers State, and not just Rivers State, apparently, even in Edo State, because Obaseki is also dishing out some things over there. But then we'll just have to keep up as everything unfolds. The major headline on the front page of the Punch newspaper: electricity tariff hike. Labour demands reversal of protest. Labour demands reversal as protests begin today. So NLC, TUC and others to picket NERC office and discos in all the 36 states of the Federation. And what the report is giving us now is that organized labour will today commence nationwide protest over electricity tariff hike and removal of subsidy from the power sector by the federal government. So the National Treasurer of the NLC, Olatunji Ambali, and the National Deputy President of the Trade Union Congress, Tommy Etim, confirmed the planned protests in separate interviews on Sunday, insisting on the reversal of the tariff hike to the subsidy era. So last week, the report came out for that Ike DC, Abuja DC, and some other DCs, some other discos rather, dropped the tariff from 2 to 5 per kilowatt an hour to 206 per kilowatt an hour. But the people are saying that no, we don't want a reduction. We want a total reversal, all right, to whatever it was that was obtainable pre hike. That is what the people were saying. And as it is now, we had a conversation last week on Open Forum that do we at least appreciate the fact that they are coming down a bit, or we should, request for a total reversal. But now labor action is expected to kick off today in Abuja. But for in recent times, body language from Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, Minister of Power, the very somewhat insensitive statements that he has made over time and all of that, is this going to bring forth any sort of positive? This protest.
When it comes to protests from organized labor, I think Nigerians are almost tired, really.
Okay.
Because it comes like just blowing hot air. Nothing happens, really. We've had several protests from last year to now from organized labor.
Yes.
They do the protest, at the end of the day, they are called into a particular kind of meeting. Government promises them heaven and earth, and nothing changes, and they go back and they begin to talk again. So it's a cycle of protest without anything changing. And I don't think any Nigerians would really want to take the organized labor serious about this particular protest. If they protest and they are able to push through their demand, so be it. Good luck to them. But I think Nigerians have learned to live their lives beyond the promises of protest and tough talking from the leadership of this particular organized labor. You understand what I'm saying? I think a lot of Nigerians even think they are not serious about anything. Because again, if when it comes to even things that concerns them directly, they have not been able to make any reasonable progress. Who says they are going to make any progress for Nigerians on this particular one? I'm talking about the minimum wage conversation. They've not been able to make any serious headway on that one, and that's supposed to be one of the first things that concerns them. So, but if they go out protesting and they are able to achieve some decent, results from their protests, we'll wait to see how that goes. But you know what, Sandra? This issue of electricity tariff, especially when it comes to all these band arrangements, band A, band B. I actually think Nigerians are not paying enough attention to it, Sandra. And I know why I'm saying that. Because we need to ask ourselves, who are the guys really on band A? Apart from residential buildings, aside from a number of people, who just live it for normal family things and all of that. A lot of the industrial zones in the country are under this band A. A lot of the areas where we have our manufacturing companies are also on this band A. There was an interview recently, Sandra. A medical doctor, I think he's based in Port Harcourt, Dr. Okoye also shared his experience owning a hospital and how this band A arrangement is killing the medical sector and making it even difficult for Nigerians to have access to quality health care. He said that, look, before this band arrangement, before this band A, band B and all of that, I think what he said was that it was being billed every month something close to 5 million naira. But now that this band thing has happened, the last bill he got was about 25 million naira. Yes, he it's a video that is trending.
In a month?
And in a month, yes. Didn't I tell you that one of my guys shared this experience with us that look, in their what's it called, their house, they used to do about 100,000, which is to give them over 1,000 units. But when this band 18 started, from 100,000 naira, they only got 412 units. So the man said he got 25 million. Like, look, you're going to kill the medical sector. And if you go and check, Sandra, we are getting reports that even federal medical centers, teaching hospitals, because they cannot afford these new tariffs, are now being downgraded from band A to band B and band C. What does it mean, Sandra? If we cannot guarantee steady electricity supply to our medical facilities, what does it tell you? I don't know whether you are getting my trajectory.
Your trajectory is sounding really scary, but carry on.
No, it's terrible. That's the reality of the moment. In fact, we are even getting reports that almighty Lagos State Teaching Hospital, when it gets to a particular time of the day at night, they close down.
So people no on oxygen and all of that, what happens?
People on serious intensive care are not guaranteed power supply because of this new tariff.
Hey, look at
and then even private hospitals. At the end of the day, private hospitals are not able to afford the band A billing, new tariff. They will put it on the patient.
Let's look at it from Mr. Adebayo Adelabu's statement. Argument. Who is saying that if the increase in electricity tariff was not implemented, there will be nationwide blackout.
Wait, Sandra, that's always the argument. You know, the same argument of, we did not remove subsidy. The country is going to go bankrupt. It's the same argument. You see, all of these World Bank, IMF, use policy. It's a template, Sandra. It's not new. It's a policy document that is handed over to these guys by the World Bank and IMF. And what you have now are people who are now willing to implement those policies in total. And they begin to justify the some manner of ridiculous excuses. Sandra, is this the first time we've been having tariff increase? What has happened? You know, remember that during the last administration, they talked about the fact that, look, there's a phased removal of subsidy on electricity. And so we started seeing gradual increase in electricity tariff. Since that time that they've been increasing the tariff, what has been the level of investment in the sector, Sandra, to guarantee? And that's why people are arguing. We begin to talk about cost-effective tariff now or service-effective tariff. You are more concerned about increasing tariff. You are not even bothered really about service delivery. And then apart from issue of service delivery, what about the larger implications on businesses, on the living standards of Nigeria? At this time, who are faced with multiple things that are even making life difficult for them. They are still battling with subsidy removal. They are battling with the chaotic unification of the forex market. They are still battling with increasing tariffs. They are battling with excess, rising and excruciating import duty. And then you are adding this to it. By over 200%, are we joking really?
Okay.
So, this is Sandra.
Okay.
Those guys that took over the sector over 10 years ago, what was their level of investment? How did they run the sector to the point where the banks are taking over so many of the decision companies? So these guys are not ready to answer the real questions. And that's why I said that, look, when everything fails, Sandra, in Nigeria, when government fails in its responsibility, they throw the blame on the people and allow the people to bear the burden.
Well, the ultimatum handed down by the unions, which was a 1-week ultimatum, or they threatened to picket NERC offices, has come to an end, as there's no total reversal, of course, of that particular policy. So, as it is now, civil society organizations, market women, students have been enjoined to join organized labor in what is called a collective battle, as we're all collectively being afflicted by the wicked policies of the government, according to labor union. TUC President Festus Osifo is saying it is unethical to force Nigerians to pay higher tariffs for non-existent electricity. Estimated billing is an extortion and daylight robbery against Nigerians. So, for this, as regards this call for protests called to protest the tariff hike by NLC and TUC. The executive director of the Rule of Law and Accountability Advocacy Center, 𝐸kechukwu Nwaguma, said he was in support of the protest, insisting that the government should address the issues raised by the organized labor. So over the weekend, Fuad, you know that the president also gave a directive that for a stoppage, an embargo on the cybersecurity levy implementation. So with this now, do we see maybe the possibility, just some 2 weeks or 3 or a month or so ago, the president said he had to make tough decisions. Are this one of the tough decisions that are irreversible, or maybe we should all collectively, as the labor unions have said, call for a total reversal?
Well, there's nothing that's impossible, really. And I really don't want to talk about this idea of taking tough decisions. Because again, when you take a tough decision, and the tough decision is only about inflicting pain on the ordinary people, the tough decision of the president has not changed, what is done in the political circle. They are still doing the same kind of budgeting. The profligate spending is still going on. The reckless spending is still going on. The misappropriation of funds is still going on. So what is the tough decision about? The tough decision should be such that Nigerians begin to see that, in the political class too, they are feeling the heat, just as Nigerians are feeling it. But they are still living larger than life. They are still appropriating money to themselves. They are still buying SUVs. They are still doing 6 billion to do car parts. So what has changed? What's the tough decision about really? The tough decision is just about the poor people. To continue to inflict pain and more taxes on them. And the reality stands that. I think it's in the paper today too. I think somewhere in the Vanguard newspaper that IMF is still telling the government you must fully remove subsidy on electricity. So I said that these are induced. And do you know why these policies are coming? And I shared a video with you this morning.
Yes. Which
the reason is that you have to convince your lenders, the people that are borrowing you money, that you have the ability to raise money to repay those loans. And the only way to do that, to guarantee, is to control to their dictate. Do this, do that, and all of that. The things they don't do in their own country. Even when they do it in their own country, they have several measures and structures to cushion the effect. Because there are a lot of pro-people policies in their country, to cushion the effect of the same policy they are telling you to just throw at your own people. Whereas you have no structure, to cushion those effects, really. So, I think over the weekend there was a report that by June, the government would also get about $2.25 billion loan from the World Bank. Another loan is coming. The loans keep coming, and whether you like it or not, they will tell you what to do. And you must also show your ability to convince them that, look, we'll do whatever we need to do, whether it's going to kill the people or not, to be able to repay your loan. So that's why I said that, look, all of these things are induced policies from the World Bank and the IMF and our foreign lenders. Unfortunately, we lend all of this money, we borrow all of this money. At the end of the day, corruption takes it over. Right. Nothing is staying on ground.
Thank you very much, Fuad. That's the major headline on the front page of the Punch. That's the major headline on the front page of the Punch. Electricity tariff hike, labor demands reversal as protest begins today. The story is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. All right, moving on now. I also have here, just on a lighter note, don't stop dancing, but govern well. And that's coming from former President Olusegun Obasanjo to Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke. Moving on now, we also have here on the front page of the Punch newspaper, stop electricity subsidy, IMF tells federal government. And that is on page 42 of the Punch newspaper. So just very quickly, I don't know. I'm trying so hard not to use the word that keeps coming to my mind as regards the influence of World Bank and IMF on Nigeria in recent times, because it's almost like they have a special interest in what is going on in this country. But what we have now is that the International Monetary Fund has warned the Nigerian government to remove what it called implicit fuel and electricity subsidies. I'm a little bit shocked as regards why fuel. Yes, as regards why fuel, subsidy is being mentioned here. I thought we had done away with that, but then of course Nasir El-Rufai came sometime last month and stirred the waters as regards that particular one. But now IMF is calling it an implicit fuel subsidy, implicit electricity subsidy, meaning that it is there one way or the other. We just can't see it.
No, we see it, we can't see what. They are the ones deceiving themselves. Oh, they can't deceive us. We know.
But they're telling us it isn't that, because Adebayo Adelabu still recently said that there's no Commissioner for Budget and National Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, in an interview, in an interview recently, mentioned that there is no subsidy. He doesn't know what exactly anybody is talking about, but that there is no subsidy at all. And IMF now is telling us that is telling the Nigerian government to remove what it called implicit fuel subsidy and electricity subsidy. All right, saying that the subsidies will guzzle 3% of our GDP in 2024, as against the 1% in 2023. All right. So what they are saying now is IMF commended the federal government for, among other things, phasing out costly and regressive energy subsidies. Calm down. Just calm down. It's okay. I'm all right. So saying this was critical to creating a fiscal space for development and strengthening social protection while maintaining debt sustainability. However,
you see the last part, while maintaining what?
Debt sustainability, which you had already mentioned. Yes, exactly. So we're getting there. So we're getting there. So in order for them
money, but you must be able to repay. You must show that you can pay back.
You must show that you can pay back by stifling the masses. But it's okay. IMF noted, however, that adequate compensatory measures for the poor were not scaled up promptly and subsequently paused over corruption concerns. Capping pump prices below cost, reintroduced, implement implicit subsidies. Let me take that.
What are they saying?
Capping pump prices below cost, reintroduced implicit subsidies.
To the end of this story, what exactly is IMF saying? Are they not even confusing themselves?
That there's subsidy and that the government removes subsidy, but that there's implicit subsidy somewhere along the line, and the government should look into it.
Okay. And then at the end of the day, government look at compensatory measures for the poor people, and then blah 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 blah. See, Sandra, like you said, there are things that come to mind. You just want to step because you are already. Have you seen the IMF, Sandra? Make it a priority to begin to tell our leaders about tackling the issue of reckless appropriation year in, year out. Have you seen the world, the IMF, the World Bank also issue statements questioning our reckless, wasteful budget every year? Have you seen them talk about it really? You see, whether we like it or not, we've said it and we need to say it again. The World Bank, the IMF, whether anybody agrees with it or not, are neo-colonial structures to keep a lot of developing countries underdeveloped for the agenda of the West and developed world of the countries of the world. But it's a fact, it's a known fact. And they will continue to do things like this to ensure that, look, whether you have economic crisis, sometimes you have social unrest, by the time you begin to aggregate all of these things and you put it together, there can't be any meaningful development in any nation. There can't be any meaningful development, really. They will continue to borrow this money. They know that, look, our corruption index is so high that at the end of the day, those monies would amount to nothing practically. And I'm saying that, look, have they begin to check, really, the implications of some of their policies on the ordinary people in Nigeria? Oh, you want to build infrastructure, you want to build roads, blah, 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 and all of that. But the people of the country are dying. We are just talking about the medical sector, Sandra. Have you also checked the cost of prescription drugs, Sandra, now? You know that the worst thing that can happen to a Nigerian is to fall sick. And when I say fall sick beyond ordinary malaria and typhoid. Anything that has a serious medical issue for a Nigerian now is as good as death warrant. And I know what I'm saying. You have anything like organ failure, or you have a kidney issue, or one liver kidney in the canal, it's as good as you have your death certificate already. Because as you see, even prescription drugs, the price of prescription have gone through the roof. People that are asthmatic now, they are the ones that know what they are going to do. They can't even buy inhaler. DSC have left. People are telling me that, look, the drugs that used to cost maybe 1,000, all these antibiotics are not. Go and check the prices now. 7,000, 8,000.
Inhaler is about 14,000, and it used to be about 2,800.
And then if you even go to the medical facilities we have, Sandra, the cost of tests, the kinds of tests you have to do, and what you have to pay, and everything is still aggregated and put on the fact that, look, you have these painful, these bare policies of the government, the removal of subsidies, the forest crisis, and every other thing. I've just talked about the implications of this tariff on the medical sector. IMF is not even talking about that. They are not even bothered with that. And in their own country, where they are domiciled, there's health insurance for the people. Healthcare is heavily subsidized. Public transportation is heavily subsidized. Even food is subsidized in their own country. But here, pack the people out of life. That's their policy, just to justify that you can repay the loans you are going to borrow to their leaders that will eventually be stolen.
Well, it is actually really unfortunate what the decisions our leaders are, making, or what our leaders are putting us through, or the way our leaders, are making us seem to the outside world. But that is the reality of things as at now. More details of that on page 42. IMF telling federal government to stop electricity subsidy, and then you have on the other hand Labour Union today going on protest against electricity tariff hike, and then you have our Minister of Power somewhere in Ibadan sharing rice and curry. But it's fine. Let's move on the front page of the Punch newspaper. Still on, we have here Rivers above the masthead now. Rivers Assembly, Fubara, Pro-Wike lawmakers clash over relocation. That is on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. So what we have is that the Rivers State government and lawmakers loyal to Nyesom Wike, former governor, Rivers State, Minister of FCT, disagreed over an FCT order which relocated the sitting of the State House of Assembly to the auditorium of the administrative block of the government house. And this order, which was released by the state governor, Siminalayi Fubara, is contained in the state's official gazette, tagged Executive Order of the Rivers State Government 001-2023. So while the State Commissioner for Information and Communications, Joseph Johnson, insisted that Fubara has the power to relocate the State Assembly, the pro-Wike lawmakers described the relocation as illegal. What?
This was one of the, I think this is a major issue we discussed yesterday on political roundtable, really.
Constitution problems, legality, conversations, and all of that. Yes.
And the fact that, look, you have, the political leaders who are now at war, practically. When I say war, quote and unquote now, everybody is showing, whatever strength they have, looking at the law, looking at loopholes in the political space, to outdo each other. You have a situation where everybody just doing everything really, to take control and take charge of the state. And at the end of the day, like I said earlier in the morning, Santa, it's a matter of time, really, because if we begin to delve into the issues now, you are going to people say, oh, he doesn't have the right to do that. Oh, he has the right to do that. Oh, what does the law? If on this Rivers matter, Santa, there are too many court cases and injunctions. Too many that it's even difficult for you as a journalist to know what is actually going on.
Exactly.
You have to follow through because, again, too many injunctions. This one comes from the Federal High Court, that one comes from the State High Court. Several matters are already in court that are not yet decided. So it's all confusion, really. And the confusion is coming from the fact that, look, our politicians are refused to just behave properly. And there's one reason, just one singular reason why they are behaving like this. It's about the treasury of the state. It's all about the treasury of the state. It's not really about development, Sandra. I've seen people who have picked sides on this matter. And I keep saying that for people think, oh, you are just biased and supporting the government. No, we're actually on the path of the law. What does the law say? And then if we are going to even leave the law on the grounds of morality standard, why should one man be big? Why should one man, Sandra, be bigger than the entire state? Why should the interest of one man be above every other interest of the state? There are some people who think Wike is just a political colossus that fell from the moon. Maybe they need to know his history about helping people and fighting with them. Look, there was a time, I think around 2016, when Alimadu Sharif, the former governor of Borno State, was held by Wike to become the chairman of the PDP. The same Wike fought him for 8 months until he removed him. In fact, at some point, he even issued a statement that he regretted supporting Alimadu Sharif. For 8 months, the PDP was in court until the Supreme Court removed Alimadu Sharif. He was the same Wike. The same Wike helped Uche Sekondu, to his own brother, to become the PDP chairman. He forced him to a standstill when his interest was not being protected by Sekondu and removed Sekondu. The same Wike, Sandra, supported, if you remember, the man from Borno State, from Benue State, Iyocha Ayu. You remember that was when he removed the constitution, it was the same person that supported Yota Ayu to become chairman of the PDP.
And that was before the zoning, throwing open of zoning and all
and when
that.
he discovered that Yota Ayu may not be, kowtowing to his own interest and dictate standards, he forced Ayu to a standstill and eventually removed Ayu.
All right.
Should this surprise anybody that he has held the Fubara and in less than 3 months they have started fighting and it's already scheming to remove Fubara? That is the character of the person we are talking about now. And people are just throwing up and whipping up unnecessary sentiments. I've said it. For those that helped Wike, what is his relationship with them now? Oh, they've forgotten that there was a Mr. Peter Odili that helped him to become a local government chairman. Before eventually Rotimi Amechi chose him as chief of staff and then nominated him as minister. What is his relationship with those people before? When people keep talking about loyalty and the fact that somebody helped you, the people that helped Wike in the past, what did he do to them? What has he done to them?
Well, just as you have rightly mentioned, with so many court judgments, so many court cases in, active now, we don't really know, because according to Martins Amaewhule, which is, leader or factional leader, and I don't really know what to call him, leader of the second half of the House of Assembly in Rivers State, who has described the governor's actions as, a flagrant violation of the orders of the Federal High Court and Justice Omotosho of, the State High Court here. So there's just a lot to unpack from this particular, Rivers State crisis. But then it all boils down to, I'm still waiting for something, anything at all from the national leadership of the People's Democratic Party. Where is the reconciliatory committee that was put together to be headed by former Senate President Bukola Saraki, that was put together at the caucus meeting and NEC meeting that was held recently for the People's Democratic Party? What are the plans that they have put in motion in order to because whether we like it or not, Rivers State is still a PDP state, whether or not you have 27 out of how many people in the state House of Assembly or in the two states House of Assembly, two state houses, Houses of Assembly. Whether or not we have that, there's still case in court. So there's just a lot, as we have said. And that
let me ask you something, sir. Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Look at the entire city. Just look at the entire city, and I'm talking about the highest structure of the PDP, the leadership of the PDP. Who is that person that has the character, the clout to reconcile these guys?
Well, we have Chibode George. We have Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. We also have
Atiku Abubakar is an interested party. He's a dissatisfied member of the party. Oh, you think Atiku has forgotten the G5 or forgiving them for what they did with presidential ambition? At that time, the Bode George you have mentioned, Bode George was also taking sides with the Wike faction. And interesting is Sandra. You know that the first person of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar gave an interview, I think over the weekend, where he said that look, it was not Atiku, though people may believe it or not, that actually frustrated Peter Obi out of the PDP. That he was actually Nyesom Wike, because at that time, according to the spokesperson, Mr. Ibe, that Atiku was ready for the presidential ticket to be zoned to the south. But what Atiku insisted on was that look, if you are going to be talking about equity and fairness, and that the zoning of the presidential ticket of the PDP to go to the south, he must go to the southeast. Now, if the PDP decides that he must go to the south, let it go to the southeast. And because Wike was interested in that ticket, he frustrated that move. And all of the reasons, remember that it took Peter Obi some time to leave the PDP. It took him, he was not sure until the last minute before he now left the party. So the PDP is a party in disarray. I'm sorry.
All right. Well, more details of that on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. Fubara and Wike pro-Wike lawmakers clash over relocation of the State House of Assembly. Finally, of the front page of the Punch, we have here national and state assemblies are to spend 724 billion naira in 2024. It's okay. That's on page 31. And finally, National Assembly gets new tax report September. That's on page 42. 20 minutes past 8. We've gone really, really far, out of time. And you are listening to Mainland 98.3 FM. We're back on Facebook and Radio Garden. So apologies for the break there. But you can just carry on with us. I'm moving on now to the Guardian newspaper. The major headline on the front page of the Guardian: energy prices soar by 70%. Cost manufacturers 290 billion naira in first quarter. So that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. So average price of diesel moved from 800 naira in quarter 1 2023 to 1,600 in quarter 1 2024. That's 100% increase. Average energy supply to manufacturers dropped to 8.5 hours a day. Electricity tariff for band A up from 68 naira per kilowatt to 206 naira per kilowatt now, and it is just alarming. Distribution cost as well, that's for fuel now. Capacity utilization has dropped, production volume has dropped, investments has dropped, employment has dropped, sales volume has dropped, while cost of shipment has gone up. It's just really unfortunate for business owners in this country at this time. I mean, for anyone who would actually survive this. And
added to this mystery, Sandra, at this time, a Bloomberg report over the weekend has rated the Nigerian currency, Naira, as the worst performing currency in the world at this time.
Hey. So that's where we are. We're at, and the story's on page 6.
That's the story.
Fuad, I think dollar is about 1,478 now or so.
Over 1.5 at the parallel market.
Okay, and then pounds is about 1.8.
Yes, dollars about 1,510 or 520. Yes, it crossed the 1.5 mark. Just over the weekend.
Well,
so what are we talking about here, Sandra?
So from this report now, we are priced out of the market. That's what Manufacturers Association of Nigeria is saying.
You can't cope. It's as simple as that.
With this electricity hike. That's what.
But IMF is still insisting you must continue.
That's very unfortunate.
Because they want to continue to borrow you money.
It's okay. Well, we can get the report on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, they're speaking out. Businesses are collapsing. People are losing their jobs. And, here we are with this particular report from IMF. But then, still on the front page of the Guardian newspaper, Labour to paralyze power sector over tariff hike. That's on page 3. And then we also have here, Serap, Agbakoba, CSOs head to court as federal government quietly withdraws cybersecurity levy. And that's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. So I guess congratulations to Nigerians. If we have won that, whether or not we have won that, we'll get to know it.
But you know that when Nigerians were complaining, when Nigerians raised their voice, there were people who still supported that policy. Oh, we should pay taxes. We are not even paying enough. All over the world, they are paying taxes. It's not that Nigerians were steadfast. They stood their ground. And even we have to thank our legal luminaries, the lawyers, who also dug deep into that law to discover that there are a lot of contradictions. And that the circular of the CBN himself was a contradiction to dictates of that particular cybersecurity act, which in itself does not say the money, the levy should be paid by customers. For institutions that have been clearly stated. And so you look at yourself, but for them to have even thought about, that's what I'm even saying, Sandra. Whether it is suspended or reversed now, for them, despite all of the things Nigerians have been complaining about, the sufferings of Nigeria, for it to have even crossed their mind to try to introduce that kind of thing, you should tell me that these guys are not reading the room. They are not in tune with the reality of Nigeria.
All right.
But for them to have even thought about it at all, to the extent that they should not say that it should be implemented, it means they are not reading the room. They are not in touch with the reality of Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Fuad. Still on the front page of The Guardian, I also have here, Nigeria is complex, but not difficult to govern. And that's coming from former President Olusegun Obasanjo, Fuad. Very quickly, the former president said his experience in government has revealed to him that Nigeria is a complex country. However, noted that the nation is not as difficult to govern as being believed in some quarters. Okay? And he spoke while commissioning a VIP lodge in Osun State and all of that. What do you think of that statement?
Well, that Nigeria is a complex state, but not difficult to govern.
Yes, it's complex. It's a complex country, but not difficult to govern.
Honestly, but the argument would be that what did you do? as president? What was his own record as president?
Let's leave the messenger first. Wait, let's leave the messenger first.
But if we are going to take the message, I agree. It's a very complex society. Our diversity, different orientation, different cultural, religious differences, the land mass itself, the population, you understand?
Yes.
Different political interests, economic interests. But look, the diversity should be our strength. That complexity that the political González is saying should ordinarily be our strength. If we have purposeful leadership and a leadership that is creative enough and intentional enough, to make us begin to get the benefits of all of those things. Leadership is, you see, when it comes to critical thinking, Sandra, you see adversity, you turn it into positivity for your people. So, but like you said I should leave the messenger. So I'm not taking the messenger. I agree. It's a complex society, but if you have intentional leadership, purposeful leadership that is committed only to the welfareism of the people and not to giving to the people, it can be done. The job can be done, really. A leadership that is clear, has a clear idea on how to tackle corruption, systemic corruption, institutional corruption. Nigeria is a country that is blessed. Like people have said, Sandra, consistently. We have no business with poverty. It's a country that should not have any business at all with poverty. 44 solid mineral resources spread in 500 different locations in Nigeria, a country, the sixth largest crude oil exporting country. Sandra, look at the mineral resources, solid mineral resources we have, arable land, the potential for tourism, manufacturing, production. We shouldn't be talking about poverty, really, if there's purposeful leadership. I agree with the police about already.
All right.
But instead of the
it's okay. It's okay. All right.
I don't ignore.
Thank you very much, Said Fuad. Finally, let's look through the major headlines on the front page of Vanguard newspaper. It's still Milan 98.3 FM. The major headline there reads, manufacturing export limps as revenue drops by 166% to 778 billion naira. So we have riders here that reads, World Bank blames poor logistics and weak infrastructure. Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, exports seek government intervention. CPPE, that's Center for Public-Private Enterprise, says national single window will bring relief. That's as regards exchange rate. Exporters must adhere to trade norms, says NEPC. And finally, the president, Nigeria loses $4 billion to import-export infractions annually. So Nigeria's quest to diversify foreign exchange earnings away from oil is not feasible for now, as revenue from the manufacturing export sector has plunged by 166%. Operators in the sector have blamed poor state of infrastructure, logistics, and other binding constraints, which they said have worsened the operating environment in recent years. And this trend has been on since about 2019. And since 2019, it has been downwards, recording decline since then, exacerbated by the COVID-19 in 2020. But in 2022, there was a huge drop, which was recorded. And of course, another significant drop in 2023 as well. So in its Africa Pulse publication, the World Bank specifically blamed the country's dwindling foreign trade on poor infrastructure and inefficient logistics, among other factors. There's a lot to unpack from that one. We've run out of time, but Fuad, very quickly, the reasons being given for our exports are poor.
No, all the reasons speak for itself from all of things you've highlighted. I think all of the stories touched on, apart from the rivers matter, also goes back to this particular story. It's just going to be like a repetition, really, Sandra.
Okay.
If you aggregate all of the things we said from the start of the program this morning, apart from the political conversations we had, it's just what it is, really. I think the president needs to sit down again. One, I think he also needs to look at his economic team. You remember that they set up different committees. I think there's the one that is led by this private sector people. Economy
Advisory Committee. Yeah.
What have they been saying?
Led by Dangote.
Have they done anything? What is their advice? Really? What have they been telling the president?
Maybe they're still
collating
reports. Yes.
Or putting up a blueprint.
Yes, Very important.
I thought the president needs to. I don't know. I don't know really.
All right.
Because again, we're not even that far from the president. We don't know who is listening to. But I think he needs to begin to recheck and check again with these policies that he has brought on
all of the policies.
All of it.
Right from the May 29 infamous statement, subsidy is gone. Yes. All right. That's a wrap for today on Trends in the Papers. Thank you for staying with us on Facebook, YouTube, and Radio Cartoon. We appreciate. We'll take a very short break now. We'll be back by 8:40 for Mainland Focus, where you get to be a part of the conversation. This is Mainland 98.3 FM. Please stay tuned.
Hey folks, ready to take your smartphone experience to the next level? Introducing the Tecno Camon 30 and Power 6 series, two amazing smartphones that redefine innovation. With the Tecno Camon 30, capture every moment in stunning detail with its advanced Sony sensor camera. Say goodbye to blurry photos and hello to crystal clear images. And for all the gamers, engage yourself in an immersive gaming experience with the Tecno Power 6 series, featuring super sensory gaming technology and a 70 watts ultra charge. Every game comes to life and you get to play for much longer. Visit an authorized Tecno store to get any Tecno Camon 30 or Tecno Power 6 series today and experience innovation right in your hands. Tecno, stop at nothing.